To start off the class, we'll first look at what makes up a management system. This is of critical importance because the audit material you will develop for the final project will be designed to measure management systems performance. Depending on your area of interest, you might pursue an occupational safety management system or a security management system. Regardless of the system you will choose to explore, there are certain ingredients that go into making a management system function well. In conjunction with this lecture, you'll need to locate and review either ANSI Z10 or ISO 45001. Each of these standards can be found through the EKU online library. ANSI Z10 and ISO 45001 are Occupational Safety and Health Management System standards. ANSI Z10 is a U.S. standard and is produced by the American National Standards Institute. ISO 45001 is a global standard and is produced by the International Standards Organization. ISO 45001 is actually based on material in ANSI Z10, so the content of the two standards is somewhat similar. The textbook contains more detailed information regarding these two standards. Though they are both focused on occupational safety, the content of the standards can easily be transferred to other disciplines, such as emergency management or security. Understanding the content of one of these standards will help you in understanding the types of things you will need to include within the scope of your final project as you develop your audit material. You'll develop an audit program and audit document that assesses a management system of your choice, whether it be occupational safety, security, or other. A management system is typically made up of 6 components. The components are leadership, employee participation, hazard identification, hazard control, training, and program evaluation. Auditing leadership includes investigating the degree to which organizational management effectively leads the discipline being audited. For example, though a leader does not need to be a subject matter expert in occupational safety, he or she needs to engage in activities that communicate the need for that discipline to be integrated within the organization. Accountability is one area in which leaders must engage. They must hold others in the organization accountable for behavior related to the discipline being audited. Accountability applies to both management and employees. Both management and employees must take responsibility for their actions, and leaders in the organization must foster an environment in which this occurs. Leaders are responsible for developing an organizational culture that includes the discipline being audited. For example, leaders must integrate safety as a component of the organizational culture. Rather than safety being a quote-unquote priority, safety should be integrated as an organizational value, where it is a basic part of how work is accomplished. Safety should be included in standard organizational meetings, such as pre-shift meetings and facility meetings, to emphasize its importance in organizational operations. Leaders should ensure symbols exist throughout the facility that reinforce safety, such as various signs and tags. Leaders should encourage and reward safety behaviors, such as engaging in safety and reporting risks. Leaders must ensure resources are in place to effectively manage the discipline being audited. For example, a safety manager might be needed based on the size and complexity of the organization and properly placed within the organizational structure for maximum impact. Subsequently, leaders must ensure the safety manager produces meaningful data on safety performance that can be integrated into discussions related to the organization's overall performance objectives. Leaders must also ensure the discipline is appropriately included in the annual budget. Leaders must be actively engaged in the discipline being audited, and not just when an incident occurs or simply allocating money and divesting responsibility. Leaders can engage in a wide variety of activities that can be tailored to meet his or her interests or schedule. Activities can include being involved in incident investigations, participating in inspections along with the safety manager, and routinely including safety in various meetings. The goal of auditing leadership will be to determine its level of effectiveness related to the discipline being audited. Though I might frequently refer to safety due to that being my area of expertise, the same application can be made to security and emergency management. This applies as we walk through the remaining 5 components of a management system. The component of employee participation examines the degree to which employees are able to actively engage in the discipline being audited. Providing opportunities for employees to become involved instills ownership rather than it being a top-down environment where employees are simply told what to do and how to do it. It also provides valuable feedback to management in light of employees performing the daily tasks that must occur, allowing them unique insight into the application of the discipline being audited. Research has also shown that high degrees of employee participation result in greater organizational success. Employees can participate in a number of activities to support the discipline being audited. For example, employees can participate by being a member of a safety committee where they can contribute ideas to improve safety and work to implement various initiatives. They can engage in incident investigations. Due to their detailed knowledge of production, they can offer unique insight into causes of incidents and potential solutions. Employees can assist in inspections by accompanying a safety manager on an inspection or by being trained to actually conduct the inspections. Though these are stereotypical ideas of how to engage employees, organizations can explore many other unique opportunities. Employees can be seen for the valuable asset they are and included in processes that can be used to increase performance. They hold unique knowledge and insight that can be tapped to greatly improve performance in the discipline being audited. The component of hazard identification involves the ability of the organization to identify the things that can bring harm to management and employees. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration states, "A hazard is the potential for harm. In practical terms, a hazard often is associated with a condition or activity that, if left uncontrolled, can result in an injury or illness." In the fields of security and emergency management, this term might have a different application. In emergency management, the focus might be on larger hazards, such as severe weather, that can harm the organization on a larger scale. In the field of security, the word risk might be used to identify risks of loss to the organization through avenues such as theft or acts of violence. Regardless of the discipline, risk assessments can be used to identify hazards or risks within an organization that, if left uncontrolled, can result in harm to individuals or the organization as a whole. Risk assessments are conducted by observing specific tasks or activities within an organization with the goal of determining the degree of frequency and severity of exposure to loss. Typically, a matrix is used to plot the results of the assessment to clearly identify where the risk lies. The matrix can be as simple as a 2x2 block where the lower left block is green, representing low frequency and low severity of exposure to loss. The upper left box is yellow, representing high frequency and low severity. The lower right box is yellow, representing low frequency and high severity. The upper right box is red, representing both high severity and high frequency. For example, in the discipline of security, access control to a facility might be observed and evaluated through a risk assessment. It might be determined that a large amount of traffic occurs, representing a number of variables, to include employees, contractors, and visitors entering and exiting the facility. This observation might result in a rating of high frequency being assessed. The risk assessment will continue with an assessment of how bad an incident could be if access control was not managed properly. Incidents such as workplace violence and theft might be evaluated, resulting in a high severity rating being assessed. Access control would result in both a high frequency and high severity ratings, placing that activity in the red box of the matrix. A strategy should be established to conduct risk assessments to avoid being overwhelmed by the volume of activities that can be assessed in an organization. One place to start is to evaluate historical performance. Incident reports can be reviewed to determine trends of where loss has been occurring. Areas of loss that frequently surface in reports could be places to start. Conversations can be had with employees and management to collect information on their thoughts about where risk of loss exists within the organization. Such conversations can be helpful to identify potential areas of great loss that might have not yet appeared on an incident report. Once risk assessments have been conducted on activities that have been identified through examining incident reports and speaking with employees and management, the next step will be to advance through remaining activities that occur in the organization. The component of hazard control is used to identify solutions to effectively manage organizational risks. A hierarchy of controls is typically used to identify the most appropriate solution. The hierarchy of controls begins with the best option, which is to eliminate the hazard completely. This can be done through activities such as restructuring work or contracting the work to a third party. Engineering controls are the second option, which includes things such as installing machine guarding or handrailing. Administrative controls are the third option and include things such as rotating workers to lessen exposure. The fourth and final option is personal protective equipment. This includes things such as providing hearing protection where someone works in a loud area or safety glasses where debris could cause an eye injury. The goal of the process is to begin with elimination and work through the process to identify the most appropriate control. The component of training focuses on providing employees with the knowledge and skills necessary to perform their job properly. The challenge in conducting training is that two stereotypical paths can be taken. One path leads to a simple box being checked. A PowerPoint presentation might be created and employees are exposed to it through classroom sessions. Though this might be considered as training, the problem is determining if meaningful information was transmitted by the trainer and retained by the worker. From a cost perspective, this method is very efficient. The time of workers being away from the floor is minimized and topics covered can easily be communicated for compliance purposes. The problem is that this is the lowest level of training at our disposal. The second path of training takes advantages of things we know about adult education to provide a robust training experience for employees. They might be exposed to a classroom PowerPoint presentation to communicate certain pieces of information, but the training includes practical skills or other exercises to ensure competency. Training documentation can be accomplished through a system that includes a training log, exam, and certificate of completion. A training log is a simple sign-in sheet that can be used to document who was in attendance at a given training session. An exam serves as comprehension verification and competency. The exam can include written and practical skills components. A certificate of completion serves as a document that both the trainer and trainee sign acknowledging what key elements were covered in the training session. The final system component is program evaluation, which addresses ongoing assessment and improvement of the system. Program evaluation can include elementary activities such as basic inspections that occur. For example, in the realm of safety, departmental daily housekeeping inspections, forklift inspections, and fire extinguisher inspections are all designed to identify deficiencies that must be corrected. More complex program evaluation can occur, such as formal annual system audits, as we will further discuss throughout this class. Audits not only identify whether something is or is not being done, as with inspections, but also assess through some type of scoring methodology the degree to which something is or is not being done. The importance of understanding the components of a management system is that all of the components will be addressed in the system audit, which is the focus of the final project in this class. Though not specifically stated, compliance issues fall under the hazard identification and hazard control components of a management system. This is of interest because in past decades, auditing simply focused on compliance with regulations or standards. However, auditing has evolved substantially in recent years to encompass the need to assess a complete management system. That's it for now. Be sure to check your EKU email, course announcements, and the virtual office for communications throughout the week. Feel free to reach out to your facilitator or me if you need anything.